Welcome back to IeSF 2013's coverage here on Chaos TV, and we are into game number 2 here between Belgium and the Netherlands. So, Netherlands would take game number 1 after a very long drawn-out game from being behind. We'll see how Belgium can answer back. They do have first pick this time. I am Stress alongside Panky for all of the action.
Couldn't reach my talk button. There we go. So slightly different bands to come out this time around. Their pick orders obviously changing slightly, so their priorities changing a little bit more as well. So interested to see exactly how their comps expand, and I'd like to see more of a all-round comp from the Belgium side this time around. They had a very strong early comp last time around, and yes, they got a little way ahead, but they couldn't quite close it out, and that's what allowed the Dutch side to turn it around and bring it back later on as their comp shone through at that stage. I mean, there were plenty of screw-ups and mispositioning and team fights as well. It was by no means a purely team comp win, but it certainly would have helped the Belgium side if they had a bit more late game damage in there.
Yeah, VCOM fan will pick up the Lee Sin. They did play that in the last game, obviously feeling very confident with Socialmedia's Lee Sin, and why not? Now this time we might be seeing pretty much a repeat of the last game with Mosu hovering over that Kha'Zix. There are plenty of other options available as well. We will see where they go with that. I wonder whether they'll go for a slightly earlier game team composition for the Netherlands, as it did take them quite a while to get back into the last game. Belgium, on the other hand, if they do go for an earlier team composition, they will have to pick a couple of champions that maybe can close the game out a little bit easier. But the Netherlands will go with Corki and Vi, so fairly common picks on this 3.12 patch.
Glad to see Vi again. It's the first time we've seen her this weekend. She's one of my favourite junglers, especially now that she's back into favour with the rest of the world at the moment. And she's got very, very strong pre-6 presence too, so she can really challenge Socialmedia. She can really counter-gank him, she could invade or just 1v1 him down. I mean, there's a couple of moments, a couple of situations Lee Sin will come out on top, but she does a lot better at it than Shyvana would have in the last game, so they shouldn't fall quite so far behind this time round.
I am Heat, maybe thinking of picking up that Caitlyn for Falahid this time. Did play Varus in the last game, who's a champion that's kind of fallen off in favour recently. I think they've been favouring a lot more of the Corki Caitlyn.
It's because no one in the LCS can land his ultimate.
That is a bold statement, but we'll just we'll let that one hang there for a sec. But of course, with the rise of Corki again, it's really there have only been 2, maybe 3 AD carries to choose from in recent times, so not too much of a surprise that some of the others have fallen in the wasteland. And really, is Mosu's feeling confident on that Kha'Zix again, so we'll see how he can get things done here.
Yeah, I mean, Kha'Zix's fallen out of favour with a lot of people, but he's shown us that he can still make it work, he can still play it. I mean, it wasn't quite so game breaking or just solo stomping as he was in the past, as we've seen some very famous Alexiches do, but it's still very effective. He still did a lot of damage. He's still a very good assassin, and when so many others get banned out on a regular basis, why not try something a little bit slightly different?
And it's a style that isn't common right now for the top lane. Mostly the assassin kind of role comes from the mid lane, or has done in the past few weeks, and you look at Worlds and very assassin based in the mid lane, whereas the top lane kind of has defaulted to that tank role. Of course, this time with Renekton Shen banned out, that's not entirely possible, and we've seen that swap towards Shyvana and Jax on the top lane positions. Kha'Zix still a champion that Mosu feels is strong. We have seen some good performances out from him, and with Zed banned, why not go for that again?
Picking up their Aatrox again, this is a very similar comp from Belgium. Although, ooh, Zyra, if that gets logged, Zyra mid lane is something we've not seen out of many people for a long time because she lacks escapes, and that makes her very susceptible to ganks. But she can be incredibly powerful, and that ultimate is great at controlling fights.
Yeah, Coutard's probably one of the only people that's like, Zyra mid will first pick it. Doesn't matter what you play against me. That's pretty much a staple of Copenhagen Wolves. The last pick is available, and that's something that we hadn't even talked about in the build-up to this. There's quite a few mid-lane champions still available, and potentially one of the best scaling of them all, Kassadin, has been locked in here.
I like to see how Kassadin works now on the new patch. He's very different. It offers up a very different type of gameplay now. But this is not that new patch. This is 3.12, and he still snowballs very hard, and he's still very mobile, and he still does a lot of damage without actually landing on top of you with his ultimate. So Zyra is going to have a tough time. It's going to make it very easy for Cass to dodge snares. He's going to be able to get out of a knock-up pretty rapidly too. So I suspect we'll see a fair bit of Lee Sin pre-6 in that mid lane. If not, Kassadin could roll quite easily over that Zyra.
Yeah, and Kassadin is just one of those champions that I always feel surprised when not only does he not get banned, but he ends up being last pick. Because, I mean, Belgium were at a point where they still had to decide their mid laner, and Kassadin was available. Now, obviously you don't want to get a counter pick too hard on Kassadin. He does have his limitations in lane. But even if he gets shut down, if he starts picking up 1 or 2 kills in the mid-game team fights, can really just start becoming that terror, as you said, snowballs so very hard into the late game, and then can just remove people from the map at will. I kind of always feel surprised when I don't see a Kassadin picked up when it's available. And we are loading into game. Of course, this is game number 2. Between Belgium and the Netherlands here for the IeSF 2013 World Championship. We're broadcasting with our friends at Chaos TV. Make sure you follow them on Twitter as well, at Chaos TV. You can find Panky on Twitter, at LOLPanky, and I'm at Dignitas Stress. So make sure you guys are following us. You'll get all of our tweets when our casts go live, and all of that good stuff. And sometimes our ramblings. That too, and I'll tend to tweet something completely random that I'm still surprised that people care about, but that's a different discussion for a different day. We are into game here as Belgium on the blue side, Netherlands on the red. Game number 2 here in this best of 3 for the IeSF 2013 World Championship quarter-final round. Netherlands looking to close this one out with a 2-0. Belgium looking to equalise it. Let's see who comes out on top.
Talking in code in the all chat.
We're going to need some kind of decoder or Google
magical
Translate.
Code. Google Translate my word. I say code, those can't see, it's actually just Dutch.
Code.
Morsu just about spotted them making their way into that bush. That could have been dangerous for him if he was about 10 seconds later.
Yeah, that would not have been a great start for Morsu, as although that does give a lot away. The fact that they've spotted Kazakhs at the bottom side of this map instantly tells the Belgian team that is Netherlands looking for that lane swap. They're looking to put Corki and Leona up in that top lane, and that is valuable information that has been given out. Belgium now have free reign to make their decision, although with Corki coming down towards this bottom lane,
the Dutch team do know that he was spotted down there too, so they could also look to swap it back. Now there's a little bit of mind games involved. It was early enough that it happened that it didn't really give too much away.
Yeah, exactly. There was plenty of time to swap that around, so now the mind games begin as everybody dropped off the map. So what will the starts be? It looks like we're going to get the duo bot lanes after all, as both junglers will start on their lower side jungle.
Doesn't mean we are going to get both junglers arriving at the top of the map, at a very similar time. And honestly, those 2v2s, depending on how the abilities land, could go either way. If that knock-up from Aatrox hits both Vi and Kha'Zix at the same time, then it should, I'd imagine, head in Belgium's favour. But if one of them dodges it, then they may just, in fact, if Vi, probably, she's going to be the higher level. If Vi doesn't get knocked up by that Aatrox, then that fight could quite easily go towards the Dutch side.
Oh, and looking at the other 2v2 that's currently going on down in the bottom lane, Metalex has already taken a lot of damage. Falhid really using those headshot procs to great effect. Wow, Metalex is actually forced to back before 3 minutes. That's
why they wanted to lane swap too, because that would have happened very easily every time Corki gets bullied really hard by Caitlyn, despite the changes to Trinity Force now, despite the reasons he's picked so popularly once again. And as you can see from the low health warnings, he's got to stay there.
Oh, Brobro's getting caught out in his own jungle, forced to flash. We'll keep an eye on bottom lane, as well as a Piltover Peacemaker just clips Metalex, and he's within one auto attack or a Piltover Peacemaker really of dying here. He has to be forced back behind that tower. Meanwhile, Socialmedia up in the top lane is actually farming out in between the two towers. Is going to make sure that the VCOM fan is able to push into this top lane and really exploit Kha'Zix before he reaches that point where he's able to get a lot of his damage out.
Yeah.
Will go aggressive on towards this. They do land the Dark Flight on towards it, but that tower is doing a lot of damage. VCOM fan may even be dropped into the passive, but no, not quite. About 20 health keeps him in check. Kialis dropped very low in the bottom lane as well, and similarly to last game, Belgium are all over the early game here.
So we saw Vi doing her golems and her wraiths instead of going straight to a red buff, which is what allowed Lee Sin to go in and find her, but they're still getting top again, and the passive has been popped.
Yeah, passive has been popped, forced to flash out of Morsu though in exchange, and well, having that passive down is nice. Morsu is not going to be able to escape this one, but the tower is enough damage alongside that ignite to deter him from following up. And now Vi comes in for this, will use the Vault Breaker, gets into range, and Lee Sin is not able to get away from that. First blood goes to Vi. Very nice timing from Brobro.
Don't know why Scala really stayed top there. The damage had been done, the flash was gone, they'd already forced Vi out once. He hung around a bit too long, dived a bit too much, still took a bit too much extra damage. The fact that Vi was going to return up there was kind of obvious no matter what level you're playing at. When you see two low health champions like that as a jungler hanging around, it's just easy bait, especially as she's just based and shopped, so she's going to be stronger than those two. It's very obvious that she'd arrive, and they should have seen that coming a long time ago.
And this amount of pressure in the bottom lane is just crazy. Caitlyn and Sona are doing so much damage to this tower already, and Metalex still only level 3. That's not a great position to be in at this point, although if they can start to get the ball rolling, maybe get some extra assistance from Vi, they might be able to get themselves back into this lane. But 42 CS to 15 on the AD carries, as you were saying, that is why they wanted the 2v1 lane swap. And this time it looks like Brobro is here. Will Vault Breaker onto the ward, and instantly the reaction will tell them that that was in vision.
Yep, he went for the Gambi, thought the ward may be in the river itself, and if it is, you can get across into that bush without it seeing you on the likes of Jarvan and on Vi using those dash abilities. But it was actually inside that bush, so he got spotted as soon as he landed, and did back on out of that. But Metalex still having trouble trying to get as much CS as he can. A long way down. Oh, that hurts. That's a lot of damage. So much Sona's going to hit 6 the long way before him if he keeps having to base like this. And with that kind of damage, pre-6 from Sona Caitlyn, he's got to be very, very careful he doesn't get killed as soon as she hits that ultimate point and lands a stun.
Yeah, let's look at the mid lane for a second. 46 CS to 32. That's kind of to be expected out of a Zyra Kassadin lanes. Kassadin's going to have a little trouble farming when those plants are just going to be able to harass him down. And is Kialis actually... I thought we might see Kialis
Well, he went in on them 2v1 when they were on the bottom turret. Corki had base and it was just him down there, he used his E and he went in, but mid lane there's a gank.
Yeah, there is the ultimate comes out from Brobro, and the Strangle Thorns is going to hold Hood Boss and Brobro back, but that is the Sultan battery used, won't be available for a little while. He didn't quite pick up the kill though, did get the flash from Iron Heat.
More so managed to survive a gank in the top lane again as well. Lee Sin was hiding up in that bush, getting around behind him as he pushed the lane. They went on him. He managed to get out and dodge it with his ultimate, which is interesting considering it's a Lee Sin who obviously grants sight, but Morsu managed to get that double charge of stealth off while Socialmedia had no DPS left, so he did not get spotted under a tower. Managed to dodge a lot of the turret damage, before he reached the turret, and then forced them to tank it with their faces.
Yeah, Bloodwell is about to come back up for the VCOM fans, so he's fairly confident in pushing this lane up, especially now knowing that Brobro's ultimate is still on cooldown itself. So, and down in the bottom lane, Koistorm will get shredded through. That's a good pickup for the Netherlands as they have started maybe to turn this lane back around, but Falahid, Metlex stops to actually last hit there and takes an ace in the hole, forced to barrier out there, will go aggressive, Piltover Peacemaker takes him out of the equation. Kialis now trying to chase on, but with the minions and the damage from Caitlyn, it is just too much, and that's a double kill for Caitlyn.
As a little bit unlucky, it was a nice idea. They had more than enough damage to burn through that Caitlyn if that stun had landed before the Peacemaker animation. But the Peacemaker animation was already continuing even when the stun landed, so it finished, and that was enough to kill Corki.
I kind of feel like that's one of those situations where it was need before greed, perhaps, that Metalex needed to look at, because I don't know whether
it was also like a
was
miscommunication between him and Kialis. He barriered the Caitlyn ultimate, so it didn't kill him, and Kialis tried to flash in front of it, so they just blew two summoners when they only really needed to do one of them.
I kind of don't want to rag on Metalex too much, but that last hit, I'm not sure that was entirely the best decision when you're at no health and a Caitlyn's chasing you, but I guess you want to take some gold on the way back. Maybe he was just shy actually of an item, but we'll never know.
Could have been a misclick. He could have been trying to click on the lane and hit a creep, so the champion attacked it.
Could have been. That's entirely possible. But they did, of course, get that kill on Corki, which will help him back into this. Now they go aggressive onto Sona. That's a very nice crescendo onto Solar Flare does land, however, and Koistorm isn't able to survive through the damage as Sona is a very, very weak champion with regards to health. Kialis gets dropped very low. Metlex trying to block for him. Actually manages to land that Phosphorus Bomb. There's the barrier out from Caitlyn to keep her alive. Metlex may be looking for something from that creep wave, but ace in the hole is what he finds. Meanwhile, in the
to pick up a
mid
nice quick kill on the mid lane too. Brobo came across from one side, landed his Vault Breaker, couple of auto attacks, ulted. That's Zyra once she put her own ultimate down. Then Cassidy blinked in from one side and finished her off with a full combo and an auto attack.
Yeah, Brobro forced to flash away from Lee Sin there as Socialmedia did push the lane up in top with VCOM and then drop down into the jungle. Again in the bottom lane, low health pings this. What is Kialis doing?
He tried to kill Faladin. He did have a lot of damage. If he landed his E, the stun combo, more than enough. It's when his shield exploded, but he missed it. And he was not on top of Caitlyn in time, and his shield blew and no damage was done, and he was in a terrible position, and Caitlyn finished him off.
I feel like the Netherlands almost aren't giving this bottom lane pairing enough respect with the way this game started. They were put behind, and now they're just donating kills to Caitlyn. They've come very close to killing her, I will grant them that. They have been, I don't want to say unlucky in certain situations, but they've just given a couple of kills that maybe didn't quite need to go to Caitlyn.
That's definitely short, although they are camping mid in the process.
Yeah, he gets dropped very low. That's a kill for Brobro. That takes him to 2-0. Already has the Spirit of the Ancient Golem, so he's once again Brobro having a good game for the Netherlands. One of the players keeping them in this for sure. Now they look to turn towards this dragon, of course, with the mid lane down. That might have been able to give Hoodboss a little time to roam, but he's going to keep Skullomania busy here as the bottom lane pairing do come up towards it. And actually, he's not only keeping him busy, he's taking him very low. Both of them forced to kind of back away from this one, but this does mean there won't be any kind of contest from Lee Sin at that dragon.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Cassidy did it. He wasn't so worried about killing him, but wow, that's a very dead Sona.
That is a very
He wasn't so worried about killing him, but he was getting him as low as possible, keeping him as occupied as possible, while the rest of his team did the dragon.
Yeah, now they will apply the pressure down into that bottom lane. I think this time Valhid might not be so lucky if the 3 members of the Netherlands team decide to push this one in, but Brobro is going to recall. Does have himself 1200 gold, so we'll look to finish off more items. Picks up that Ninja Tabi with Home Guard already. That's fairly early for Home Guard, but that's going to reduce a lot of the damage that Caitlyn's doing on Vi right now. So I think that's a fairly smart pickup there from Vi.
Yeah, Morsu is doing pretty well in that top lane. They've been spamming emotes at each other. The majority of it is just pushing the lane from turret to turret onto each other, as they both have some very good wave clear and great sustain. So as now that the junglers stopped paying attention to that lane and started going mid instead, it's going to be quite boring up in that top lane, to be honest.
Solar Flare lands in the bottom lane. There's the Gatling gun and the Rocket Barrage follow-up. Valkyrie comes forward out of Metalex, and already Kassadin is on his way down here as well. The roaming Kassadin with that Rift Walk. Phosphorus Bomb picks up the first kill. Koi Storm takes a lot of damage from Hoodboss. Kialis will pick that one up. Shields himself to get away from that tower. Now Hoodboss is going to play Defender here. Takes the Sonic Wave, and now is trying to back out from this. Zyra has followed down, but not quite fast enough to close the distance there. Kialis and Metalex get out pretty low on health, but with the kills.
The patience there on Kassadin was very, very useful, and it's what saved his teammates' life. If he'd have blinked forward with that Sonic Wave on him, Skullomania would have easily activated it and probably picked up a double kill onto Corki and Leona, but Kassadin, playing it very, very patient, waited for the Sonic Wave to be used up on timeout. Then he blinked away, and that was him clear and safe with his team done too. So very, very strong start here from the Dutch side this time around. And, well, Fresh has started warding that mid lane because of the camping that has happened, but that is not stopping Brobro from standing in that bush. Even now he knows he's been spotted, he's just staying around there and being a little bit annoying so that Fresh Heat cannot farm.
Brobro is becoming a bit of a monster in this game. I mean, it kind of feels like when we keep looking at that bottom lane that it's really not going in Netherlands' way, but then you look at the overall score and how Brobro is doing, is there's a lot of activity going on around this blue buff. The Vault Breaker will land onto I'm Heat. Is going to land the Assault and Battery as Morsu picks up a kill on Lee Sin. Stranglethorn's forced out, but that's a double kill for Morsu, and an important double kill as well.
Very nice for Kha'Zix. That snowball's going to begin again. He's starting to build his Trinity Force. A lot of people questioned that in the chat in the last game. I found that after out, but it was very, very effective. It is a great item now as Valahid's getting nuked down again in the bottom lane.
Solar Flare did lock them in position, and now the follow-up from the Zenith Blade as Metalex and Kialis are chasing on. Koi Storm will drop for the double kill, and the Netherlands team really are starting to wrap this one around their little finger now as they're picking up kills all across the map. The VCOM fan drops very low as well.
So, yes, Metalex was a long way behind in the initial CS. Yes, Caitlyn bullied him out, but he didn't die, and as a result, the burst damage is still there from Corki, and with that Leona combo, it's even higher. I mean, Corki Leona was a big thing that Against All Authority loved back when that was a team. But, oh god, this poor Zyra. Oh dear.
Bro,
I love Zyra mid lane, and I like the thought and the attempt here, but with that Vi pick already in place, she is a very strong ganker, especially against people that have no kind of gap closers to pull her deep. And then the Kassadin still being there, just brutal. Absolutely brutal.
This Kassadin Vi pairing is able to remove anybody from the map pretty much instantly as soon as they get spotted. I don't know whether Skullomania really has the ability to duel this, because Vi does have Assault and Battery still available. So Socialmedia does have to be careful that Hoodboss doesn't come across, but I was starting to say earlier, as Morsu will pick up a kill in the top lane and take his killing spree up. Well, will gain a killing spree, 3-0 now. Starting to say earlier how much of an impact Vi is having on this game. 4-0-3 with 113 CS. That's more than Kassadin has had in this game already, and that's pretty significant. Solar Flare gets flashed out by Quaistorm, but this tower will fall in the bottom lane. And the Anaconda is starting to wrap itself around Belgium here, as the Netherlands really are just pushing every lane out.
That was a very important flash from Sona. Like, the tower was dead, that was nothing was going to change that. But if Sona had died with it, they'd have been able to keep this push going into the tier 2 turret. Now they need Vi's help to do that. They
may still be able to, as the Zenith Blade will finally lock down Caitlyn in that back, and Sona drops as well as Metalex on a rampage. They've really turned this game around from what was a bit of a shaky start in that unfavourable matchup. Here, however, comes the rest of the Belgium team. Safeguard back out. The grasping roots don't quite land. Zenith Blade in from Kialis. That's a lot of damage coming down from Kassadin. Stranglethorns will zone them away from this fight as Kialis drops very low. And the Netherlands trying to get whatever they can here. Meanwhile, Morsu in that top lane is still pushing on.
They've got some very strong burst champions in Vi, Corki, Kassadin, and they're already snowballing, so they just want to be aggressive. They want to keep that going as long as possible. And okay, they didn't get that tier 2 tower, and okay, they didn't get any kills, but they forced all those champions very low and forced them to the base, which allowed Morsu to do exactly that and pick up tier 2 tower in the top lane.
Yeah, Netherlands take themselves another tower now, 4 towers to 1, and it's a 17-4 kill lead. And this gold lead has gone from being really close in the very early goings of this game, where you saw Belgium start taking a lead, to now being close enough to 10,000 gold. Now the follow-up onto Socialmedia. Flash out once again from the Solar Flare, but the chase is on. Quaistorm will drop to Morsu, who is now on a rampage, as they will go over the wall for the chase up. Here comes Morsu once again. Double kill, triple kill for Morsu. Can he get any more? They're headed towards this middle lane, which is still on full health, but that is sure to change very quickly.
Absolutely brutal here from the Dutch side, and they're going to keep pushing up too. They've got those numbers advantage a long way, and they've got the damage. They can keep taking out turret after turret. And yes, they were hiding in that bush. Yes, they got spotted by our ward directly, but they have so many gap closers, so you have to get so far away from this team before you're truly out of range of them.
Yeah, now they follow up even onto this inhibitor tower. The team for Belgium have respawned, but they will lose that tower, and that's a lot earlier. There's the Assault and Battery onto Imheat, gets kicked back in towards the team. But look at the raid boss that is Bro in this game once again. The rest of the Netherlands team hardly even were reacting there to get more damage down, as they were still in front of that inhibitor turret, but Bro gets out with his life.
It's more the point that he ulted, went a long way deep, and he went, ah, God, well, don't follow me, guys, because if he died and they all went in, they'd all die too, and then they'd lose a lot of objectives. If he died on his own, that's not the end of the world. As it was, he managed to Vault Breaker back through, come out the other way, and still managed to stay alive in and amongst his team. So very well played for doing that. Now, a lot of the times, if 5 people follow a bad call... Oh, okay, never mind. If 5 people follow a bad call, you can turn it around. If one person... if 4 people are split down the middle and don't follow the call, things are more likely to backfire. But looks like Belgium have made their option, and their call is to surrender it out and give the Netherlands the 2-0 victory.
Yeah, I assume they feel that their team composition has really extended past its life. We saw in the first game, they held it to 50 minutes with having a big lead. Being behind this much at 20 minutes, it's gonna take almost a miracle to get back into that game. So as disappointing as it is to maybe see an early surrender out in that, when the Netherlands still looking very strong, but Belgium giving them a run for their money, at least in that first game in the early goings of game number 2 here. Now we will of course be having more games today.